Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back to viewers, listeners, and pupils learning and taking benefit from these videos. Inshallah, this will be our second lesson in Simplified Tajweed. Very quickly, let's recap the previous lesson. We went through the definition of Tajweed. Tajweed means to beautification. Is of two types: beautifying the letters of the Quran by attempting to pronounce them as close as possible to the Arab accent. So we need to pray the Quran like the Arabs read the Quran. اقرأوا القرآن بلحون العرب. And remember, we're talking about those Arabs who are highly qualified and skilled in the way they do recite the Quran, and beautifying them by being aware of the conditions in which they have to be recited, either with an empty, flat sound, full and rounded sound, and at the same time one must be aware of when they have to be applied either. So certain qualities of the letters are found at any given time. Whenever you attempt to pronounce a particular letter, you have to, on a compulsory basis, apply certain qualities. And then there are those types of qualities which only occur under circumstances. For example, the gunna, the mud, the noon sakin, ikhfa, idgham, etc. And then you got the mim sakin rules, the lam of Allah, full mouth, empty mouth. So they are subject to condition and subject to circumstances in and around the words of the Quran. However, certain qualities, they are called the lazima sifat. Lazima means the necessary and the compulsory qualities of the letters of the Quran. And we need to understand these as well. And inshallah, going forward, when we become more advanced, we can go into deep discussion of sifat lazima too. So there are two prime subjects in tajweed: makharijul huruf and sifatul huruf. The makharij of the letters. Makharij, as I mentioned, makharij is the plural for the word makhraj. Makhraj, actually the literal meaning of makhraj means, and linguistic meaning is exit place. That's why whenever many of you attend the Middle Eastern countries and you're on the airport, or especially when you go to Haramain, you'll see signs, al-khuruj, etc. So this is to signify that this is the way to the exit place. So makhraj means the place where a person can exit from. When makhraj is being used in the sciences of tajweed and phonetics, it actually means that the place in and around the mouth from where the letters of the Quran emanate from the letters of the Quran are, or you could say the Arabic alphabet is pronounced from. So, and as I mentioned, in total we have 29 letters in the Arabic alphabet, as opposed to the English language we have 26 letters, but in Arabic we have 29 letters. And now these 29 letters don't necessarily come from their own respective makhrajis, or you could say they don't have an individual exit place in and around the mouth. Rather, they have been grouped into 17 makharij, and then these 17 makharij is which you need to understand theoretically, and then at the same time, once you have understood them, you can you will be able to correctly then inshallah pronounce the letters. But more importantly, it's a practical transmission. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala transmitted the words of the Quran to Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam. Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, he then practically transmitted the words of the Quran to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and then he then in turn transmitted the practical recitation of the Quran to the Sahaba. So what we are learning right now is the theory of tajweed. But at the same time, the most important thing is that this theory cannot be put into practice unless you have a highly skillful, competent tutor or teacher who is well versed in the sciences of tajweed and phonetics of the Quran, who can then assess your ability, your pronunciation, etc., and how far you are and how advanced you are, and then you need to continue attending and going to these teachers of yours. So it's very important that you understand the basis of tajweed, that you've got the theory side and then you've got the practical side. And it is the practical side which is the primary side. So you've got theory, many people, well, not many, anybody who wants to become a driver nowadays, they have to sit the theory test first. The only way they can go ahead and book a practical test, you could be 100% practically, you are able to drive. But if you have not passed your theory test, you are not able to sit, you will not be able to participate in a practical driving test. Similarly, this is theory. Without the theory knowledge, you will not be able to understand tajweed to its fullest. Yeah, you may be able to read the letters of the Quran, and what I usually say to the children and also the friends that do attend tajweed classes here and there, or they usually ask questions, why is theory important? Well, we explain to them that if you ever want to become not just a mujawwid, but a muallim of tajweed too, that you want to be a person who can teach tajweed to other people, then without having theoretical knowledge, how are you going to impart that your understanding of tajweed to someone? You can just say to that person, okay, just copy my sound, just copy the sound. I don't really know where it's coming from. I think it's coming from here or there, but just copy my sound. Copying just mere sounds is not going to be sufficient if you ever do intend on becoming future teachers of the science of tajweed and phonetics. So the importance of it we understood from Quran, وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. The word tartila has been defined as tajweed by Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And then the virtues we understood that a person who will read the Quran will be in the company of the angels, and thus that person who reads and he struggles to read, he will be given double reward. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the same time has mentioned that the best amongst you are those people who learn the Quran and teach the Quran. So this is very important that we understand the importance of tajweed, that we understand tajweed is important. First and foremost, the importance has been extracted from the Quran, and then at the same time it has also been, the importance of tajweed has also been backed up by the discourse of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The first lesson we covered was isti'adha and basmala, two words which were introduced to those people who may have never heard such technical words in Arabic. Isti'adha actually means to seek protection. Basmala means to read Bismillah. And as you can see, next to isti'adha we have got a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and next to basmala we have bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Now, what discussion is there taking place under isti'adha and basmala? The question is that when to read isti'adha. When do we have to read a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and when will one have to read bismillahir rahmanir rahim? We read isti'adha before reciting the Quran, which we all understand. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Before you begin reciting the Quran, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, do seek protection in Allah, which is referring to isti'adha. So أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. You need to read isti'adha before reading the Quran. And then point number 2 was also discussed in detail. You will have to repeat your isti'adha if you begin eating whilst reciting the Quran. You engaged in eating, started talking about some worldly affairs, or you either replied to someone's salam. The gist of all three pointers here is that if you engage in an activity which is not related and connected to the recitation of the Quran, then you will have to repeat isti'adha. If you begin to recite in that same sitting, you decided to commence and continue your reading, then you will have to read isti'adha again. So you may समझा रहा था कि इस्तिआदा कब पढ़ेंगे. ये समझाया गया है कि इस्तिआदा कुरान को पढ़ने से पहले अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम पढ़ना ज़रूरी है. अल्लाह ताला कुरान में फरमाते हैं इज़ा क़रअतल कुरान फ़स्तइज़ बिल्लाह. जब भी तुम कुरान पढ़ने का इरादा करो और जब भी तुम कुरान पढ़ेंगे तो तुम इस्तिआदा करेंगे. इस्तिआदा का मतलब कि अल्लाह से पनाह चाहेंगे. अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम पढ़ेंगे. तो कुरान को शुरू की क़िरात करने से पहले और तिलावत शुरू करने से पहले अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम पढ़ना ज़रूरी है। इसी तरीके से इस्तिआज़ा को दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ेगा। अगर कोई आदमी खाना शुरू कर दे या कोई दुनियावी बातों के अंदर में मशगूल हो जाए, या कोई आदमी मस्जिद के अंदर में आया और उसने उसके सलाम का जवाब दे दिया, यानी इसका खुलासा यह है कि अगर किसी ऐसे काम में मशगूल हो जाए जिसका ताल्लुक़ कुरान के साथ नहीं है, तो फिर आपको इस्तिआज़ा और बस्मला इस्तिआज़ा को दोहराना पड़ेगा और दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ेगा। कब? जब उसी मजलिस में, जिस मजलिस में आपने कुरान की तिलावत शुरू की, दोबारा कुरान को पढ़ने को, दोबारा कुरान की तिलावत करने का इरादा किया और दोबारा कुरान की तिलावत शुरू कर दी, तो फिर साथ साथ में इस्तिआज़ा भी आपको दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ेगा। अब रहा, now remains the question, basmala, to read Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. When it says you need to read Bismillah before starting a surah, that whenever you begin reciting a new chapter of the Quran, so you have commenced, you sat down and you're about to recite the Quran, and you're going to begin from Suratul Mulk. So at night you sat down and you decided, I am going to make sure that after this Ramadan I'm going to be very punctual in reciting certain surahs of the Quran. So you sat down after Maghrib, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, and you have in front of you Tabarakalladhi. Tabarakalladhi is the beginning of Suratul Mulk. Will you read Basmala according to this? Yes, you have to read Basmala too. You don't really have an option in reading Basmala, then you will read Basmala. And then it explains here that if you decided to read from a couple of verses down, you decided to read from وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ, which is after 3 verses or 4 verses in the actual Suratul Mulk. If you decided to read after a page from the second page of Suratul Mulk, from the second page of Tabarak, then you will, and you are about to begin your recitation, and you are going to recite from the second page of Tabarak Alladhi, you will read A'udhu Billah, because you are about to commence and begin your recitation. So according to our understanding, which is over here, you read Isti'adha, you will have to read Isti'adha, but will you read Basmala? It says here, it is optional to read Basmala when starting from within a surah. So whenever you begin reciting the Quran within a surah, then you do not have to read Bismillah. However, it was explained, كل أمر ذي بال لم يبدأ ببسم الله فهو أقطع فهو أبتر, that you are doing such a noble act, and we have got general advice from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that before you begin any task, before you begin any permissible task, right, you should read Bismillah, for Bismillah will bring a lot of barakah to that task which you're about to carry out. So if we are reading the Quran, it's important that we read the Quran with Isti'adha, and we begin the Quran with Basmala. But it's very important that this is very common, that we begin reciting the Quran. We may be sat in the confinements of our home or comfort of our home, or we could be in the masjid, and we tend to engage in either talk, or somebody may give you something to eat, or some people come into the masjid or into your home, and you reply to the salam, or you sat down, your child came to you, you engaged with your child, you started talking to your child, or you were sat to read, and if you're a husband, the wife shouted you and said, right, I need this and this from the shop. After you've decided, once you have completed your recital, please go to the groceries and buy this and this. You heard the message she gave you, okay, don't worry, I will go and do it. And then afterwards, you then decided to continue with the recitation. You have to repeat your isti'adha, not your basmala, but you should repeat your isti'adha, and we need to get into this habit as well, that isti'adha padna zaruri hai. So it's very important. ये समझा रहा था basmala के बारे में कि जब भी कुरान की तिलावत शुरू करे तो इस्तिआज़ा अऊज़ु बिल्लाह पढ़ना तो ज़रूरी है. अब रहा ये सवाल कि basmala भी हमको पढ़ना पड़ेगा, जिसको कहते हैं बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम, तो समझाया गया कि अगर किसी भी सूरत की इब्तिदा कर रहे हैं, अगर किसी भी कुरान की 114 सूरतें हैं, अगर इसमें से किसी भी सूरत की इब्तिदा करेंगे तो फिर बस्मला पढ़ेंगे हर सूरत के पहले। सिर्फ सूरत तौबा से के सूरत तौबा में बस्मला नहीं पढ़ेंगे, इससे कि सूरत तौबा में आप देखेंगे वहाँ बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम नहीं है, इससे कि सूरत के अंदर में अल्लाह का गज़ब बयान किया गया है, वहाँ पे अल्लाह ने अपने बिस्मिल्लाह को नहीं रखा है। और आज हम लोग इंशाअल्लाह तरावी के अंदर में इस सूरत को पढ़ने वाले हैं। तो जब इमाम शुरू करेगा इस सूरत को तो वो आहिस्ता, जनरली क्या होता है उमूमन कि जब भी कोई सूरत शुरू होती है तो इमाम सूरतुल फातिहा पढ़ता है और फिर बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम आहिस्ता से पढ़ता है। तो आज सूरत तौबा जब शुरू होगी तो वो बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम आहिस्ता भी नहीं पढ़ेंगे, बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम पढ़ना ही नहीं है, इसलिए कि वो सूरत तौबा से पहले बस्मला नहीं है। और ये दूसरा सवाल कि अगर आपने कुरान की तिलावत शुरू की, मसलन आपने तीसरे पारे से आज आपकी तिलावत शुरू करनी है, आपको तिलकर रसूल से आपको कुरान की तिलावत शुरू करनी है, तो आप बैठे, आपने कुरान खोला, आपने अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम पढ़ा। अब रहा यह सवाल कि बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम भी पढ़ना ज़रूरी है या नहीं, तो इसके मुताबिक ये समझाया जा रहा है कि बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ना ज़रूरी नहीं है। लेकिन जो है पिछले लेसन के अंदर में यह समझाया गया कि जब इतना बड़ा अज़ीमुश्शान काम करने को हम जा रहे हैं कि हम अल्लाह ताला के कुरान की तिलावत कर रहे हैं, तो फिर बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हर काम से पहले बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ना ज़रूरी है। अल्लाह के रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की हदीस है और उनकी तालीम है हमको कि जब भी कोई काम तुम शुरू करो तो बस्मला पढ़ो, बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ो, इसलिए कि इसके ज़रिए से आपके काम में बरकत आएगी। बिस्मिल्लाह नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो आपके काम में बरकत नहीं आएगी। तो जब इतना बड़ा अज़ीमुश्शान काम करने को हम जा रहे हैं, कुरान की तिलावत करने का इरादा करें, तो फिर बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ ले। बिस्मिल्लाह पढ़ना बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो अब जो है इंशाअल्लाह हम नाउ वी विल मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट lesson, which is the 5 big mistakes. How to learn your sabak, the breakup method, Surah An-Naba. This is more geared and suited to children, but they will need to, it's quite lengthy, but we'll move straight on to how the 5 big mistakes. This is just for the children, for who are listening, that we read from right to left, and then we need to make sure to get your mouth ready to make the first sound, etc. Qul huwallah, follow with your finger. Qul huwallah, remember, blend the sound to read new words. Look for Tajweed rules learnt. Qul huwallahu ahad, repeat it all again to create fluency. And something I've been saying constantly inside the videos, that we must make sure first and foremost familiarize yourselves with the words. You understand? For example, we have this word here, qala. We have to understand that it's qaf with a fatha, and then we have the alif. The children need to understand there's an alif madda, there's a qaf, so the correct sound is when you can't say qala and you have to say qala. Surah An-Naba, moving on, the chapter of big mistakes. There's an overview of it here. So the mistakes that can be made in the actual letters, you will either change the letter, or you will add a letter, or you will delete a letter. You change the sound of a letter, or you add a letter, or you delete a letter. And then changing a vowel point or changing a sukoon. Now, how do you change a letter? It's very obvious. Just instead of reading qaf, you said kaf, or instead of reading ayn, you said ghayn. You just change the letter completely. So if you miss if you do not recognize a letter correctly, you will pronounce that letter incorrectly. So if your recognition is not correct, then your pronunciation will also be incorrect. How do you add a letter? By overstretching short vowels. And how do you delete a letter? By understretching the long vowels. Changing a sound from for example, alhamdu to alhamda or alhamdi, and then changing a sukoon. This is what I have been referring to in my videos, that vowelizing a sukoon sound. Vowelizing a sukoon sound will change the sukoon to a vowel. Change the sukoon to a vowel. So this is inshallah something we will discuss. Let's move forward. The introduction of Tajweed, the study of Tajweed, is important because it protects a person from making mistakes in the recitation of the Quran. to recite with big mistakes can lead to the changing of the words and the meaning of the Quran, which is undoubtedly classed as a major sin and haram, forbidden. Moreover, at times, making big mistakes in salah could change the meaning, which could lead to your salah being void. So इसको समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि कुरान को जो है बड़ी गलतियों से पढ़ना, बड़ी गलती अगर हम तजवीद के एतबार से लहने जली करेंगे, यानी बहुत बड़ी गलतियाँ करेंगे, कि और बड़ी गलतियाँ कितनी है, वो 5 है, और यहाँ समझा गया कि लफ्ज़ को ही बिल्कुल गलत पढ़ना या दूसरे हरूफ को जो है ऐड करना, कि हर्फ बढ़ा दिया या हर्फ को घटा दिया, या आपने जो है जो हरकत थी अ उ ई का जो साउंड था और जो आवाज़ आपने उसको हरकत को बदल दिया या सुकून को बिल्कुल बदल दिया। अब यहाँ पे समझाया गया कि तजवीद को जो है इंसान को बचाएगी गलतियाँ से, कि तजवीद का जो फ़न है इसको सीखने से इंसान जो है समझ जाएगा कि वो कैसे गलतियाँ होती हैं, वो गलतियों से बच जाएगा, ये कुरान से उसको बचा लेगा कि गलतियाँ नहीं होगी। और ये जो बड़ी बड़ी गलतियाँ हैं, अगर बड़ी गलतियों के साथ हम कुरान पढ़ेंगे तो ऐसा कुरान पढ़ना तो ज़रूर गुनाह है और हराम भी है। और इस ये भी समझाया गया कि अगर बाज़ गलतियाँ तो ऐसी है कि नमाज के अंदर में अगर इस तरह की गलतियाँ करेंगे तो बहुत मुमकिन है कि आपकी नमाज ही बिल्कुल फासिद हो जाए। Therefore, it is highly important that we learn to refrain from making these big mistakes and read the Quran correctly. इसी वजह से बहुत ही ज़रूरी है कि हम इस तरह की गलतियों से कैसे बाज आ जाए और बच जाए, तो फिर इसको सीखना यानी तजवीद को सीखना बहुत ज़रूरी है। सो लेट्स मूव ऑन। यहाँ पे देखो बच्चों के लिए इट्स लाइक ड्राइविंग। सो ये अभी ना एल प्लेट लग गया है, तजवीद का एल प्लेट। अगर कोई तजवीद करने में, if somebody is not familiar with tajweed, then they are learners. And what it says, it's simple. Look, the purpose of this illustration is one major, yes, it is like a driving test. One major mistake and you fail. Minors are forgiven to a certain limit. So same in tajweed. You make one major mistake, it's going to result into a sin. However, now this shouldn't discourage you from reading the Quran, but it should encourage you more that actually, you know what, tajweed is very important, and I need to make sure that I do familiarize myself with the theory of tajweed, and I do understand that what are big mistakes, what are small minor mistakes, major mistakes. I must understand the theory of this. So very first mistake, as you can see, to change a letter to another. Let's look at the example. Alhamdu, the tick is underneath the correct way of saying it. Alhamdu with a ha. You decided to read the ha as a small ha, and you said alhamdu. You said alhamdu and not alhamdu. If you change the big ha to a small ha, this will result into a major mistake. You understand? Ha has changed into a small ha, not pronouncing the letter properly. That's the first type of error. Another example, sirata. You have the word sirata. What did you say? Sirata. So you change the sad to a sin. Sad is a full mouth letter. So if you change sad to sin, this will result into changing of the letter. Right? Over here, as you can see, which letter has been changed? So are we allowed to change a letter when reciting the Quran? No. What have we done here? Qaf, we change it into a kaf, and we say kala, and we don't say qala. So we cannot say qala and then change the word to kala. Does changing the letter at times change the meaning of the word? Yes, it does. Just to give you an example, the word qalbun, qaf lam ba, qalbun. Qalbun with a qaf means a heart, and kalbun with a small kaf means a dog. For those who understand basic Arabic and are aware of this, you will understand this, that kalbun and qalbun, big difference. وَمَنْ يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَنْ يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ, whoever brings faith unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ. If you bring iman unto Allah, He will guide your qalbah, your heart. He will guide that person's heart. Now if you said, وَمَنْ يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ, whoever brings iman on Allah, Allah will guide his dog, it's changed the meaning completely. So it's very, very important that we understand the significance of tajweed. So the very first major mistake a person can make is changing letters from qaf to kaf. As you can see here, and all these illustrations are mainly geared and have been, the children have been taken into consideration. So let's quickly go through the exercise together, right? If the children are listening, you can tell me what has happened. So they have demonstrated with us, so the correct sound, alhamdu, the incorrect, alhamdu. So letters changed. Which letter has changed? Ha has changed into a ha. So now this one over here, what is the what? Say the word amma, amma with the ain, yeah? So what's over here? The incorrect one, amma. Which letter has changed? What we would be writing in this box? Rain. Rain has changed to a hamza, and this is again very commonly done, very easily done. If letter rain sound has not been paid attention to, it can very easily be recited incorrectly. We must say rain, The next example, خلقناكم, خلقناكم, and over here غلقناكم, غلقناكم. For demonstrating purposes, let's see if you can identify which letter, or shall I say letters, have been recited incorrectly. Is there more than one? So the first letter kha, خلقناكم, over here first letter is ghain. So that's the first letter read incorrectly. So the kha has been changed to a ghain, and if you look further to the third letter, qaf, it's been changed to a small kaf. So two letters have been recited incorrectly and pronounced incorrectly. Kha and qaf have been changed to ghain and kaf. غلقناكم. Okay? Now if a child does not understand, if you have somebody who just doesn't recognize this letter, or they just have learned the pronunciation of the letter incorrectly, it's very possible that you could read the letter incorrectly. Looking at the next example, sirajan, sirajan, sin, ra, and jim, alif, and thing there. The person reads sirajan instead of sirajan. The person's reading sirajan. Which error has been made? Which letter has been changed? The sin has been changed to a sad. So we would put sad in this box. Okay? You can't read a sin as a sad and vice versa. Over here the sound is awtadan, awtadan, ta and dan. Let's look at the incorrect way. Awtadan, awtadan. So instead of saying ta, the person said ta. So he's changed the ta sound, the ta alif sound to ta alif. So instead of reading empty mouth, he has read full mouth, and he's read ta, complete different letter. Instead of saying dan, dal, empty mouth, he said dan, and he's completely read the letter from a complete different makhraj and different place. Changing ta to ta and dal to dad. Two big mistakes. So we will put ta, we would put down here ta, and dal here, change to ta and dad. Next example, fiha, fiha, fa, ya, and small ha and alif. Fiha, a person decided to say fiha, fiha. Can we say fiha? You can't change the small ha into a big ha. So the letter changed over here is the small ha. The ha has been changed into a ha. And we'll do another one. Inshallah, we'll do two today, inshallah, and then we'll complete the three in the next lesson. So this is the first a type of major mistakes, just changing letters, as we can see from the worksheet. As you can see. Now to add a letter, and this is what I refer to as overstretching. To add a letter, i.e. overstretching. Overstretching what? That's the question. The second type of a major mistake is to add a letter. Let's see what they mean by this. Correct way of reading it, alhamdu. So you say all the letters correctly, which is very important. And then alhamdu, any vowels, any diacritical points, all these vowels that you can see, you got to make sure you sound them correctly as well. Now, any person engaging in this lesson will 100% understand the sounds of vowels. The vowels is what we refer to as dhamma, fatha, kasra, and the Persian terms which the subcontinental madaris have used for a very long time, and slowly moving away from those terms, is zabar zer pesh. So u, e, zabar zer pesh, dhamma, fatha, kasra. Now as you can see, alhamdu, that is carrying a dhamma, a pesh, right? That's the correct way of saying it, the way I'm saying it, alhamdu, making sure the letters are first and foremost read correctly. Now over here, the incorrect way of saying it, alhamdu, overstretching a short vowel, which is u in this instance. The dal carrying a dhamma du. You're supposed to say alhamdu, but rather you overstretched and said alhamdu. By overstretching, what did you do? You ended up adding a letter. इस दम्मा को ज़्यादा खींचने की वजह से, इस पेश को खींचने की वजह से क्या हुआ? आपने एक हर्फ बढ़ा दिया. The waw was added, but it's a direct result of overstretching the u sound in this particular example. If we overstretch the short vowels, then it will 100% result into adding letters. So the waw has been added. The letter waw was added because of overstretching the letter dal. Alladhi. So that was overstretching short vowels, adding letters. Now over here, the word is alladhi, and this again, a lot of children do this, and you may have noticed, if you now haven't, when you pay attention to your recitation, you will realize that actually I'm doing this as well. Alladhi. What did the person do? The person said alladhina and added a noon. Because these words are generally and regularly repeated in the Quran, alladhi, alladhina, if you are not focused and paying attention, you can very easily say alladhina. And a lot of children do this. Instead of saying alladhi, they'll just say alladhina, because they're into this like autopilot zone, and they are just reading what's in front of them. And when they see the first three, when they look at the sort of beginning of the word, they'll say alladhina, and they'll just say alladhina and end up adding the noon there. So this is another way of adding a letter, is by introducing a letter which is just not even part of the word. See, this word, the setup of this word and the structure of this word is that it finishes with the ya. There is no noon, right? But the person decided to add the noon there. So this is also a major mistake. So can you see over here the word lillahi? Which letter has been overstretched? The ha with a kasra. Has it been overstretched? Lillahi. Understand? And which letter have we added? If we overstretch the kasra of the ha, we will end up adding a ya. Ya with a sukoon. So you will end up by overstretching the e sound on ha, he, lillahi. You will end up, and if you stretch it, you will end up saying lillahi, and that would be the incorrect way of reading. Okay, let's look at the worksheet. We have to identify which letter has been added. As explained, alhamdu, which letter has been added? The waw has been added by overstretching the dal. The dhamma of the dal was overstretched, hence we ended up adding a waw. Over here, alladhi, Person read alladhina. What did he do? He just added a letter. It's not a direct result of overstretching because it says they're not applicable. He's not overstretched anything. He's just added a letter. The reciter or the person reading, they've just added the noon. Alladhina ho gaya. So by just adding a noon, letter added is noon. It's not the result of overstretching. Okay? Over here, fihi. The person said fihi, fihi. So which letter has been added? The ya has, and it's a result of what? Overstretching the ha kasra hi. By overstretching the ha kasra hi, the ha kasra hi, by overstretching it saying he, you will end up adding a ya there. Over here, annasi, annasi, annasi. And what did the person say? Annasi, stretched the ya. So which letter has been added? The ya has. And what the ya was added as a result of? Overstretching the sin kasra, si. If you overstretch the kasra on the sin, you will end up adding a ya. As you can see over here, the ya has been added over here due to overstretching the si sound over here, the kasra sound. Dhulumatin, dhulumatin. The person said dhulumatina, 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 dhulumatin. Instead of saying dhulumatin and continuing the sound, something which I have been alluding to and I then stressing in the videos, that you must continue the sound dhulumatin and don't let go of the sound dhulumatina, dhulumatina. This is what happens. It sounds like this. It's as though you're vowelizing and you're adding a noon with a fatha. For example, وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. In the Quran, ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. So عَذَابٌ عَظِيم. So he's saying buna, dhulumatina. So which letter is being added here? The noon with a fatha, the noon with a zabar has been added. And then over here, instead of saying inna, the person said inna. By stretching the noon fatha inna, he ended up adding an alif. Alif was added and it was a direct result of overstretching the noon with a fatha, the noon with a zabar. So these are examples of adding letters, and adding letters will generally be the result of overstretching the short vowels or just adding a letter which just never existed in the word. You decided to introduce it for whatever reason. Adding letters is a major mistake. You will either physically add an additional letter, for example, alladhi, alladhina, or you will end up overstretching certain vowels, which will result into adding alif, waw, ya, etc. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the understanding and the true love for Quran, and continue giving us the strength and ability to make endeavor and effort in reciting the Quran in the most correct possible way. So inshaAllah Aziz, we will continue with the 3 more additional major mistakes. So we have covered 2 major mistakes, and we will continue with 3 more mistakes in our next lesson. So a quick recap. Reading Quran with Tajweed is important. The importance of it has been extracted from the Quran. Tajweed is a subject which deals with makharij of the huruf, that where do the letters emanate from, and leads with the sifat of the huruf, the qualities of the huruf. And then isti'adha basmala, if you decided to read a'udhu billah, if you are about to begin reciting the Quran, you have to read a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah, if it's within a surah, you have an option. If you're about to begin any surah, you have to read. The only exception is Surah At-Tawbah, Bara'atun min Allah. And if you have started reciting the Quran, you read A'udhu Billah Bismillah, and then for some reason you engage in an activity which has nothing to do with the Quran, you will have to repeat your isti'adha only. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand. So on behalf of Madrasa Ahya'us Sunnah and Madrasa Kashiful Ulum, Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.